success, the Rams brought in Matthew Stafford this offseason to take the offense to that next level. The offense saw another team's defense for the first time over the weekend when the Rams had a joint practice with the Cowboys. And McVay was not impressed. Take a listen.
And then offensively, I think we can be a lot better. I think there were some good things that we flashed, but, it's a different front. The way that we're hitting blocks and doing some different things was new. We didn't game plan it, but I still expect more from that group.
So, Sal, talk to me. Who is under more pressure this season, Sean McVay or Matthew Stafford?
Oh, it's Sean McVay, the genius in Sean McVay. People haven't done a deep dive on Sean McVay just yet. At least it hasn't pierced his reputation of being a genius. You started to see the Sharks circling Kyle Shanahan this offseason, and I think he recognized it as well. Therefore, moving up in the draft, go get Trey Lance, because he said, hey, you're not going to eat me up without me putting up a fight. Okay, Sean McVay, same thing. Now, Sean is smart because he's like, I don't even see the Sharks, but I saw what they did to Kyle, so let me go on and swap this out. Scapegoat gone. Jared Goff, get out of here. Give me a real gunslinger, Matthew Stafford. Okay, now you're protected in some respects because Matthew Stafford's never won it all. So anything Matthew Stafford does in the postseason, guess who's going to get the credit? Sean McVay. Genius move, but here's the problem. And there's why there's pressure on you. What if it doesn't work out? Why wouldn't it work out? Sean McVay is a genius, and everyone knows I swear by Sean McVay and love him. But I do my job. I had to expose some of the Kyle Shanahan issues. I even had to expose Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl issues. Well, let me expose Sean McVay and some of his offensive issues. When he got here in 2017, you know what his offense was ranked? Number one. I always tell you, Acho, be careful of the order of success. Don't start too fast because it could come back and hurt your ass. What was 2018 after he was first? Second. So, no Sharks. Go out there and swim. No choppy waters. What happened the next year? 11th. Barely outside the top 10. People not tripping. What happened last year? 22nd. Are you trying to tell me a genius as a play caller went from first to second to 11th to 22nd in offense? Yes, I am. Now, why is that exposing Sean McVay and putting pressure on him? Because he knows that the only thing that's going to change this is him banking on someone like Matthew Stafford and the offensive weapons that they've come that replenished this year to change his fate. Here's the problem. Has Matthew Stafford ever done it all? Has Matthew Stafford ever carried a team to tremendous success? No postseason wins. This is a risky gamble. This is a pressure cooker for Sean McVay. He knows it. He's just glad that everyone else doesn't know it until after my take.
I like that take. And in all honesty, this one can go either way. But I'm about to say something or ask you something that will make you think, might give you a headache, might blow your mind, who knows? I spent like 20 minutes this morning trying to answer this question. Name a quarterback that is perceived to be as great as Matthew Stafford, but has accomplished as little collectively. I don't think there is one. In the history of the NFL, Matthew Stafford has the most perceived greatness with the smallest amount of collective accomplishments. Why do I say that? Matthew Stafford's team record is 74, 90, and 1. Of quarterbacks with at least 150 starts, that is the worst winning percentage since 2000. Now, the names that might come to your mind, Jay Cutler, right? Jay Cutler had perceived good, but he wasn't that great in people's minds. But even Jay Cutler had a higher winning percentage, 74 and 79. Then you have Eli Manning, people on the fence. He wasn't that great, but remember, Eli has 2 Super Bowls. He has a Super Bowl MVPs, and he was 500 as a quarterback. Carson Palmer.
There you go.
He was perceived great, not as great in my mind, even as Stafford has been perceived great. But even Carson Palmer has a winning record. Matthew Stafford, in the history of the NFL, has the most perceived greatness with the least collective success. People will say, well, Acho, Stafford went to a team that was 0-16. Cut him some slack. Quarterback doesn't do everything. Baker Mayfield went to a team that was 1-31. And even Baker currently has a winning record with a franchise that was in just as much historical turmoil as Matthew Stafford. Andy Dalton, Even Andy Dalton has a significantly higher winning percentage than Matthew Stafford, and he went to a franchise that was in just as much collective turmoil. So, Sel,
I'm listening.
Matthew Stafford, I'm not going to call him overhyped, overrated, over anything. I think he has one of the best arms in the NFL, and I also think that it is a team game. But great quarterbacks, even in the midst of murk and dirt, they find ways to make their teams ascend. Matthew Stafford's not the only quarterback to have ever gone to a bad situation. Deshaun Watson went to a team coached by Bill O'Brien. If you didn't realize Bill O'Brien couldn't coach, you've now realized it. And Deshaun Watson has gone to the playoffs and has made some noise there as well. So all that, I surmise all that to say, Stafford's under more pressure. Because eventually, if not now, soon, people will say, Stafford's incredibly talented, but maybe he just doesn't have it. Like, he's incredibly talented, but maybe whatever it is that Russell Wilson has that can help him lead his teams even when his defenses are atrocious, whatever it is that Aaron Rodgers has that kept the Packers 4-0 when his defense was historically bad, whatever it is that Joe Flacco had in the playoffs to go on a run, whatever it is that even Nick Foles had at times throughout the course of his career, Matthew Stafford, he got all the tangibles. But eventually, if he doesn't have success this year with the coach that's been to the Super Bowl within the last 4 years, people will say, he got all the tangibles, but he just doesn't have it. And I think it's time for him to prove he has it.
You just did something amazing there, because you just showed me that the perception of something could be so great, but still not exactly get the results of that greatness. That was your take. And you just did that with your take. Your take was amazing, but it was wrongly placed.
Talk to me.
Because everything you said is correct, but it makes my point. Is it worse to have it, to had it, to lose it, than to never had it at all? Most people say it's worse to had it and then lose it, right? Sean McVay had it. He was labeled a genius. Sean McVay had it. He had his team in the Super Bowl, going against Belichick, the old versus the new guard. You know, Sean McVay has been this close to winning it all. Matthew Stafford couldn't see it with binoculars and a telescope attached to it, right? So someone had it, and then if you really dive into these numbers, has lost it. Versus someone never had it at all. That, to me, says there's more pressure on the one to get it back versus the one to find it in the first place. Here's another thing. The defense saves this team now. Like, people, Sean McVay has a team right now that you literally would say, based on last year, oh, the defense bails them out. Why? Because the defense was ranked first while the offense was ranked 22nd. So it's weird. Your take was amazing. Kind of like Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford is amazing at quarterback.
Yes, sir.
It ain't just perception. It's reality. I don't know. This is kind of to our Russell Westbrook conversation of why I don't always put team success on an individual player. Because Matthew Stafford is insanely good at quarterback, but it doesn't add up. And that's a different calculation. But my point is this. There's more pressure on a genius offensive coordinator / head coach, Sean McVay, that is now being saved by a defense than a Matthew Stafford that we don't know why it doesn't work in Detroit, but we never seen it work for Matthew Stafford. So why is there more pressure on him?
Let me tell you, I'm not against you. I think that
you with me now.
The reason there's more pressure on Stafford, and I'm focusing on the Stafford aspect of this, is because I think Stafford is that great. I want to believe Stafford is that great. Stafford grew up 12 minutes from me. He went to Highland Park High School in Texas. I've known of Stafford since I was 11 years old, when I first went to my little private school adjacent to where he grew up. I want to believe Stafford is that great, and I should. But is Stafford the only quarterback in the history of the NFL that's gone to a bad situation?
No, not at all.
If Stafford was that great, why is his record that bad? Well, the Lions are terrible, Acho. So are the Browns. Well, the Lions are terrible, Acho. So are the Bengals. So if Stafford was actually that great, why is his record so bad? Because the Texans were terrible, too.
Yeah.
Deshaun's record ain't that bad. Baker's record ain't that bad. Dalton's record ain't that bad. So the question then becomes, is Stafford that great? My dog's from Dan Orlovsky, who played with Stafford for years. My dog, Quandre Diggs, now safety for the Seahawks, who played with Stafford for years. My dog, Darius Slay, who played against Stafford, obviously with the Lions against him because he played cornerback for years. They would all attest to his greatness. And I want to co-sign all of them. But why you so sorry is a record then? Collectively. Cutler wasn't that sorry.
Man, we should have did this block before the Russell Westbrook, because I think it started to get clear for you.
Hell,
Dog, that's how the game goes.
It's not how the game goes.
I've seen Bruce Smith. Like, it's hard to
Different
do.
position.
I know. I see everything is always different, but that's the beauty of it. That's why it's so difficult to explain. It's always different. Look, let me give you this. All good players aren't created equal. You know that.
Yes, sir.
You say Russell Westbrook's good, right? But then you like, there's a different level, right?
Sir.
Okay, guess what?